What is up, dudes? Lady dudes, as well, as always. Never forget. Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. We've got two more Dragon Maid cards that dropped earlier this morning. I meant to get this up earlier, but I had to work, so it is what it is. So I'm getting it out now, though. Same day, I'll take that. We've got some pretty interesting stuff. Whenever we have, this is one of my favorite things, actually, when it comes to news, Yu-Gi-Oh-wise. Whenever we have something like a deck build pack, most of the time we just end up getting, like, the whole archetypes dropped at the same time. I mean, you look at the, whatever you want to call it, Mathmex, I think are their real name, or their TCG name, not real name. Their TCG name, Mathmex, and then Generades. You know, both of them, literally all 13 cards dropped at the same exact time, you know, all at once. So, like, you don't get to, like, theorize or anything. But then, when we get an archetype like this, where, or not an archetype, but a situation with an archetype like this, where they drop, like, the first two cards, and then we get to theorize, and I get to go, based on these two cards, I'm going to ask that this is how the deck works. And I was pretty close, I think, so far with two more cards, but there is some differences here, but we'll get to that. So, let's start off with these. Some things here that do change up what I was kind of expecting with the archetype, but we'll get there as we read through it. First up, we have Dragon Maid Parla. This is the Wind Dragon Maid. We already got the water one, so this one's the Wind. She's a level 3 Wind Dragon effect monster with 500 attack and 1700 defense. Really small attack, but an okay booty for a level 3. And both of her effects are hard once per turns. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can send one Dragon Maid card from your deck to your graveyard. Except for Dragon Maid Parla. So a nice little Foolish Burial effect, always a strong effect, pretty much in any archetype. If they built it in, there's probably something worth sending, and it usually makes for pretty good, you know, utility also with, just an engine piece altogether. So, second effect says, when the battle phase begins, I'm guessing it's more like at the start of the battle phase, you can return this card to the hand, and if you do, special summon one level 8 Dragon Maid monster from your hand or graveyard. So, all right, we'll read the next card, and then I'll tell you what my gripe is about this. So, we have our big Wind Dragon. So, kind of like what I was thinking was exactly this, is that we were going to have the smaller Dragon Maids, one for each of the elemental types. So, I wouldn't say Dark and Light count as elements, but then you have, at least for Wind, Water, Fire, and Earth, I think those all count. So, I think we're going to get 4 big dragon forms. We're going to get 4 small Dragon Maids. We're only getting 13 cards, right? We already have one spell, which is 9 cards if we get those, which means there's only 4 other cards otherwise to kind of round out the archetype. So we'll see how we get there, but I think that makes a lot of sense, and we have it here. The first one, Dragon Maid Luft, a level 8 Wind Dragon effect monster with 2700 attack, 1700 defense. Pretty big. 27 is very nice, gotta say. And her first and third effects are hard once per turns. First effect reads, you can discard this card, then target one face-up monster on the field as cost. For the rest of this turn, that target cannot activate its effects that activate on the field. That's not terrible, honestly, considering most of your soft specials at Out of Grave. That's just like getting to play second, or even later in the duel, just getting to turn something off in a way that doesn't really affect you. Your card special from hand or graveyard, so it's doing the same for you in either or, but you might as well negate a monster effect on the way. Not bad. Second effect says, while you control a fusion monster, this card cannot be destroyed by card effects. This is a very interesting effect. Obviously, this is going to make everybody and their mother, including me, think that there's going to be some sort of fusion aspect to this deck. I'm not sure what it is yet, but definitely leaning that way with an effect like that. Like, why would they even make that an effect if you don't play fusions in the deck? But we'll see. Definitely leaning towards that, though. Cannot wait to see what kind of fusions we get. And then the third effect says, at the end of the battle phase, so not the start, but the end, you can return this card to the hand, and if you do, special summon one level 3 Dragon Maid monster from your hand. All right, now let me tell you one of the disappointing parts about these Dragon Maid, these 2 new Dragon Maid cards that kind of let me down a little bit. They do not bounce between other attributes, if that makes sense. So the new small Wind one only special summons a level 8 Dragon Maid monster from hand or graveyard, whereas the water one that we got revealed previously says it only special summons a level 7. So the water one cannot special summon the wind one, and vice versa. And I'm assuming the big water one won't be special summonable by Parla either. I'm guessing it's going to be a level 7. And in the same vein, Luft only special summons a level 3, whereas what was her name? Laudry, the water one, the small water one, is a level 2. So this one, they only swap between each other, which makes an interesting dynamic, but I was hoping for a little more utility that way, where maybe all the big dragons did something a little different, maybe all the small dragons did a little something different, and you could just swap between them, whichever one you want. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. You have to go from form to form. You have to go wind to wind, water to water. I'm assuming, we don't know all the rest of them, but at least the wind has to go wind to wind so far. Which does, I think, take away a pretty large part of what the utility it would have provided at that point. But still, I think it's pretty good. I like that it tags out at the end of the battle phase, for sure. If you haven't used that monster's effect that turn, you special it out of hand, and then you use the effect. You full burial something else, right? So if he lives until the end of your next turn, you go into battle phase, boom, boom, attack. Then the end of battle phase, you tag back into Parla, and Parla dumps another card, and then can tag back into him on the next turn before your opponent gets to go into their battle phase, so that you aren't stuck with a 500 attack point monster during your opponent's battle phase. It's pretty cool. I think it's a cool dynamic. We'll see where it goes. It seems like it could possibly be a little slow, but you know, I don't want to judge off of 4 cards. We still have 9 cards coming. We do have a powerful Monster Reborn card, which helps turbo the archetype for sure. And yeah, I just think we're gonna have to wait and see where we end up here. But still cool nonetheless. Well, I don't want you to misconstrue this. I don't think this is bad. I think this is fine. This is what I was expecting. I was just expecting a little more utility. I still think it could be possibly good. I'm just not as overly hyped as I was before. I still think it could be good. I still think potential is still there, especially since we know we're getting fusion stuff, especially if they are contact fusion monsters. That changes a lot, but we'll just have to wait and see. As always, guys, let me know what you think the rest of the archetype will round out to be, what your expectations are, how good, if you think there are any odd, I don't know, change-ups you think we might get in this archetype with the rest of the cards. We should be finding out in literally the next week. Just because I believe literally the whole set's coming out in the OCG within the next week, so we should be finding out the whole archetype very, very soon. So stay tuned for the rest of that. But that's pretty much it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more stuff from me, go and subscribe to the channel as always, and I'll see you in the next goddamn video. Yeah, peace, guys.